Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Tuesdays. We're glad you're with us today. It is March 29th, 2022. For those people on Zoom, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please just put them in the chat box and we'll get to them as our speaker takes a break. For those people watching on Facebook right now, thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, please just put your questions in the comment field. We are monitoring that feed and we'll get those questions answered for you. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window do not appear in the recording. You're welcome to put your personal information in the Zoom chat window so you can network with other people who are on the call today. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I started a second website, careerusa.org, to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search that you may not know. It is available on Amazon. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over in 2007, and I'll tell you about our upcoming program at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the
Okay, Jeff, I cannot.
Just please. Please remember that your resume and your LinkedIn profile do not get you a job. They only get you a phone call.
Hey, dang it.
All right, well, we've got four speakers who talk about LinkedIn. They rotate through on a monthly basis. Two of them are career consultants. One has a marketing company, and the other one is an executive search consultant. And that is who our speaker is today, Kurt VandeMotter, who's a retained search executive search consultant. He works at Linked Executive Search. He's going to show us what LinkedIn looks like from the backside. So, Kurt, thank you for being with us, and I'll turn it over to you. Kurt, can you hear me? Hello, Kurt. I see you.
Oh, Jeff, I cannot hear anything. This is maddening. I don't know what to do. Sorry. I can't hear anything. God.
Restart your browser.
No, he can't hear us, so we can make all the suggestions we want. He won't know.
Okay, what do I do from here?
Maybe you can text him on the phone to restart his browser.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Jeff, I can't hear anybody. None of my speakers are working.
All right, well, can you hear me on the phone?
I can hear you on the phone.
Okay, well, we can hear you fine, so you just want to give your presentation. I'll text you any questions or anything.
Got it. Okay, I don't know what's going on, so it's just absolutely crazy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Whoop. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? You guys can hear me? Okay, good. As long as you guys can hear me, that's fine. I can't hear any questions, so that's all. So we're going to share screen. And host has to disable his screen. Let's go to, okay, so y'all, this is LinkedIn Recruiter. And so what I want to do is start off by sharing with you, I guess, a number of things. This is the opening screen. We're not going to go there right yet, but it'll give you something to look at. I got it, Jeff. I got it. Okay, we're recording. Okay, so let's just start with a couple of really simple things, because you've got the opportunity here to talk to a recruiter that works with candidates and companies every day. I work with multi-million dollar, billion-dollar family-owned businesses, and I work with privately held organizations. I work with publicly traded companies. A little bit about about me, and then that'll be it. Is just to just give you a little bit of insight into my credibility. So I came out of college and started to work for the Pepsi-Cola company. I spent the next 19 years with Pepsi and then Dr. Pepper 7-Up. And that's what brought me to Dallas 30 years ago. I pivoted after the Dr. Pepper 7-Up company sold to Cadbury, and I started in the wireless industry. I was hired by Craig McCaw. It was then sold to AT&T. I was there for about 3 years, and then I left and did a startup in Chicago, a unified communications product. We raised $80 million, and we went through a hostile takeover. Came back to Dallas to get to know my family a little bit, get to know my family again, I guess. And then I did some other stuff on my own. I had a short stint with a company called Intervoice, and it was there after I left. I was about 49 years old, I guess, and 48 years old. I'd been there for about 2 years, and my boss called me on the 4th of July and told me that I could extend my vacation as long as I wanted, because she had eliminated my job. So I started trying to figure out how I was going to pivot, because I knew then that I was never going to go to work or be to work or work for in a corporate job again. I knew I wanted to do something on my own, and I always had that initiative. So I guess one of the first tidbits that I offer everybody that's on this call today is that this is a great time, if you're in transition, to explore new opportunities outside of just going back to work for a company. I looked at buying franchises, and I explored opening, driving cars to the airport. I looked at a travel business. I did all kinds of stuff, just exploring, asking a lot of questions, certainly getting to know myself a little bit better as well. But along the journey, one of the things that I did pretty early in the process was I reached out to a friend of mine that was a recruiter, and I told him that I was in transition, and if he had anything that I should be interested in, to let me know. And at that point, he said, "Kurt, you'd make a great recruiter. Why don't you quit, or why don't you just come to Galena, Illinois, and take over my recruiting business, because I'm going to go do something else." Well, Galena, Illinois is up in the corner of Illinois, Wisconsin, and Iowa, I guess it is. And it's a beautiful part of the world. The population's about 5,000 in the summer and about 800 in the winter. And I had a senior in high school and a freshman in high school. And I just couldn't see moving the family up there. And I just didn't want to have anything to do with the relocation again, or the commute again. So I turned down his offer, but I came back to Dallas, and that's when I decided to start the recruiting business and get into the recruiting business. So I've been doing this for about 14 years. And so what I want to do is tell you that first and foremost, I was a hiring manager. I was not an HR. I hired, fired as a part of succession planning. I helped develop those kinds of plans, but I was never in HR. So I don't have an HR background. And as a recruiter, I do deal with HR executives, but I have a tendency to work with people in a lot of other disciplines as well. So the first thing I want to share with you, and if everybody just take a second and step sideways, is that recruiters. So there's 3 kinds of recruiters. There are internal recruiters. These are the recruiters that work for the company. Large companies, AT&T, Pepsi. These large organizations have internal recruiters that work for their company. So instead of spending money with outside recruiters like myself, they will use those funds and that money to hire internal recruiters. And many large organizations, most large organizations have internal recruiters, and very seldom go outside to use outside recruiters unless there's a real pain that they're trying to fill. So then when you go outside of the world, then there's contingent recruiters, and contingent recruiters, they don't get paid any money until they place a candidate. So contingent recruiters have a tendency to burn through candidates pretty quickly. They send resumes real fast. They don't necessarily get to know what the candidate's doing. They don't do the research on candidates. And they're not bad. They're not, we need both, all three recruiters, but those are that's a contingent recruiter. And a company can hire 3 or 4 contingent recruiters to fill a job. So they may have a vice president of sales and they'll outreach to 4 different recruiting companies and try to get somebody to find the candidate fast. And then there's retained search executives, and that's the category that I fall into. And companies, when they hire me, they pay a retainer up front, and then they pay me a commission basically based on a negotiated rate. But the key is that I'm exclusive. When I'm working with a company, they're not working with anybody else. They don't have any internal recruiters that are working on the search, and I'm the only one that's actually working on that search at the time. So I think that it's important to know that, because you as candidates get calls frequently from recruiters, and sometimes you don't necessarily know where they're at or who they are or what kind of recruiter they are. And so I want to encourage you to when you get those calls from people, and they're going to be cold calls in many cases. You're not going to have an email warning you or setting up a call for a later date. Most of my calls to candidates are cold calls, and I have to prove myself pretty quickly to maintain, before they hang up on me, because we get so much spam these days. So when you get that recruiter on the call, what I encourage you to do is to take a breath and to listen to what they've got to say, because they called you. So certainly be very, very sincere about allowing them to tell you, and they will very quickly. My opening is, this is Kurt VandeMotter. I'm a retained search executive, and I found your number on LinkedIn, and I'd like to chat with you for 4 minutes, but I know that I'm catching you off guard. Is this a time that we can talk? And that's the kind of opening that you might get from a recruiter. They may give you a little bit more detail, but that's a good time for you to take a deep breath again, and certainly, again, listen to what they've got to say. But a good time to ask is, well, let me remind me, your name again was Randy Smith. Okay, good. I just want to make sure I've written that down. Randy, I'm driving right now. Do you have a couple of minutes? And let me find somewhere else to pull off, because I want to make sure I take this call in a place that we can have a good conversation. That might be one opportunity. But if you're in a place, then the other question you might ask pretty quickly is, Randy, give me an idea. Who do you work for, and what kind of, are you an internal recruiter or are you an external recruiter? And that's all you've got to ask. And then they will quickly let you know where they are at and how they've been contacted and why they're working on this specific job. And so it's important for you to know, because you want to know if it's a contingent recruiter. You're going to have to, if they have any requests for you, if they want you to do any homework, you're going to have to move pretty quickly, because there's a chance that contingent recruiter's one of many recruiters that's trying to fill a job, and he's talking to 10 Bobs every day, trying to find the best one that will stick, that gets hired, so he can get paid a commission. Okay. Then there's the retained search guys, and the question there might be, okay, great. Well, you're working exclusively, I would suspect, based on you being a retained search executive. You might ask a question about, have you ever worked with this company before? Those would be easy softballs that you can toss somebody before you just start to blur and vomit all over that recruiter as far as who you are and what you've done and who you've done it with. And that's one of the lessons that I want to share with candidates, because I think that advice is really sound. I think it'll improve your communications with recruiters. This doesn't mean that you won't at a time have to delinquish more information about why you left the job, or what actually happened, or something else. It might have been that my husband and I decided to start a family, and I took a couple of years to do that, and then I quickly learned that I was ready to pivot, and that's why I'm back in the workforce again. So, but many candidates, when they get a recruiter on the phone, they have a tendency to just kind of vomit and tell their story, and they'll go on for 5 or 6 minutes before they even know what I'm actually looking for. So I don't want you to fall into that trap. I think that that's really good advice for everybody that's on the call. If it's an internal recruiter, then you just know, again, that you're dealing with somebody that is got real close connections to the hiring manager. You want to keep your guard up. You don't want to, again, you want to stay in interview mode the entire time, because anything that you say, any questions that you ask are likely to get back to the hiring manager or somebody in the organization. And if there was something that you were uncomfortable asking about, it might be as simple as, what I don't want to throw too much of a softball out there, but anyway, just be careful of the questions that you're asking up front until you have more information. So now I'm a recruiter, and I've got this product that I'm going to share with you today called LinkedIn Recruiter. And LinkedIn Recruiter is a product that was developed, I'm going to guess 8 years ago, or maybe a few more than that. Actually, the company that I give credit to when I give these presentations is Korn Ferry. They're a large retained search firm in the world. One of the largest, in most cases, in most years, the largest, and well sought after. Very, very solid reputation in human capital. And they partnered with LinkedIn to help develop a product or a tool that they could use themselves internally to help them manage their database. So often I tell, when companies call me and they ask me to help fill a job, one of the questions often I get is, what's your database in sales and marketing in Anchorage, Alaska? And so I have to kind of spin and figure out when and where and how I did a job that was in that kind of vernacular. So Korn Ferry, they had this huge database and determined that, basically every night they turned off the lights, that database was outdated because candidates were moving around so much they couldn't keep track of them. And they changed phone numbers, they changed email addresses, and it's just really hard to. They were spending a lot of money on developing those databases and so forth. So the end result is this product called LinkedIn Recruiter that now LinkedIn markets and sells to recruiters like myself. We license the product, and it's built on top of LinkedIn. And so the LinkedIn Recruiter product has got a separate set of APIs that the database is LinkedIn itself. And so the reason that that's important is that as a candidate, you will occasionally see, when you check who's looked at my profile, you'll see different people, and some of them are going to be recruiters that have actually looked at your profile. And that's okay. And those are great people. If you're, if you've got the, I want to say, you want to reach out to those people, that's great. I mean, if I was a candidate and I saw a recruiter was looking at my profile, I'd certainly call and reach out to that recruiter immediately to try to figure out what they were looking for, because maybe they were looking for something that wasn't in my LinkedIn profile. But in my case, using LinkedIn Recruiter, you as a candidate cannot see me. I never show up anywhere. And the reason is that I look at, when I'm using LinkedIn Recruiter and I'm doing a search, I can look at 200 or 300 candidates in a day. And if every one of those candidates knew that I was looking at their background and they called me or they texted me or they emailed me or they sent me messages through LinkedIn, I would never get anything done. And it would be the end of LinkedIn Recruiter, because that's what is provocative about the product. And that's what recruiters like, is the fact that we sit behind a wall that you as candidates can't see us. So, Jeff, can you hear me? If you've got any questions, you're going to have to text me, I guess. But let's go right now into LinkedIn Recruiter, okay? And this is what my dashboard looks like, okay? So any of you that are in HR, you've probably seen LinkedIn Recruiter. But the key is that it's like a mini, what I want to say, it's a mini, what do they call it? My short for words here today, I'll come back to it. It's a database that companies have in order to manage all the candidates and employees and all the information that comes in. And so this is a mini version of that for me. I've got projects. Yeah. Oh, okay. Hold on.
Applicant tracking system.
Okay, let's see if you can now. How's that?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. So this is it's a mini, it's a great place for me to maintain all of my information. I've got my projects that I've been working on. I've got jobs. I can post jobs. I can run reports on summaries as far as information, number of candidates that I'm reaching and all that. But what you can see here real quickly is that I've got the ability to search for job titles. I can search for locations. I can put in zip codes, or I can put in cities. I can type in workplace types, different assessments or skills. I can offer a list of companies. If I'm doing a search for consumer packaged goods in Dallas, I might be looking at Frito-Lay, Pepsi-Cola, Krueg, Mission Foods, Lala, or Borden Dairy, to avocados from Mexico, and the list goes on and on and on. I can look for schools that some companies, in certain cases, they may say that we would really like somebody that comes from, from one of the top three, Harvard, Princeton, or Yale. Okay, I've not ever had that, but if I needed to, I could search for schools. There's other reasons that I might search for schools because of a search that I'm conducting and I'm looking for somebody. So there's a lot of different reasons you would search for schools. I can look at years of graduation. So I can literally decide if I want to look at candidates that graduated in 1972, or if where'd that go? Go away. Boom. If I want to look at, I've got the ability to slide and move this thing around and so forth. So I can sort pretty easily, the kind of, the year that somebody might have graduated, in a case that I'm looking for a certain age bracket per se. I can look at industries. I can look for keywords. We'll talk about keywords a lot today. Employment type. If it's a full-time employer, I'm looking for somebody that's doing consulting. I can search for names. I can come in here and do languages, postal codes, zip codes. Recently joined LinkedIn, network relationships. If I'm doing a search in an area and I pull up and I do the search, and in the area that I'm searching in, there's, let's say, 700 candidates that meet the recs or the spec of what I'm looking for, I might come in here real quick and just check on relationships. And if there's any that I'm directly related to, then I've got their email address and phone number. So it might be a real quick, easy go-to for 2 or 3 candidates. I can look at the fields they studied, degrees, seniority, again, current companies, past companies, company sizes, company job functions, recruiting activity, and whether I've put them into a project. So this is more of the advanced tools that a recruiter might use in order to manage their databases. Okay. Let's start here though, because I think this is a really important one. Now, what you're looking at is my total network of candidates, which is about 850 million people is what I've got access to. And so out of that 850 million, you can see that there's open to work. About 80 million have selected or self-selected that they're open to work, okay? Are more likely to respond. That's really interesting because LinkedIn tracks you as a candidate. And if you don't reply to messages that companies and people send you, then you get put into a box that says to a recruiter that you're less likely to reply. And as a recruiter, we want to try to talk to the people that we want that are willing to and have conversations with. And so I encourage you as a candidate to start, if you haven't already, replying to every message, even if it's just thanks, not interested. Maybe I know somebody, I'll be in touch. What's your email address? It doesn't have to be a whole long 3-paragraph note. It can just be 2 words if you want it to. Have company or engage with the talent brand. So 7.6 million of the people are engaged with my brand. I've got company connections with 17,000 of those people. And then past applicants is about 587. So let's now take a deep dive and let's go look for some candidates so that we can start to look at profiles. And Jeff, what I decided today was we're going to go current and even open to relocate. And just for the fun of it, let's go to Anchorage. I don't think we've ever gone to Anchorage. And I've got all these other areas that I can select as part of them if I want to. But it's really probably not necessarily. Here's a big one. Here's Homer. There's a lot of people there. And here's Westland. Okay, that's a pretty big area up in that neck of the woods. And what I'm looking for is, let's go select job titles. And I'm looking for a VP of sales. Let's go marketing. Okay. And let's go move you guys out of the way there and go search. And what you're going to see now is LinkedIn is giving me 76 people that live in this market, live in these areas, that actually have that director or vice president of marketing somewhere in their background. Okay. So if I'm conducting this search, and we'll do it another way, and I'll show you, how we go we skinny it down. But if I was conducting this search for a company in Alaska, I could look at 76 candidates in an hour. So if I was looking for, I don't want to whittle it down any further, but what I didn't tell you all is that I'm looking for somebody that's got experience in consumer packaged goods. Okay. So I'm going to move pretty quickly through this all, but Jared, I don't see any. I see communications, marketing, advertising, Anchorage. Yes. I go to Paul. He's computer software. I look at where he's at. I look at the companies he's worked with. He's definitely not a consumer packaged goods. I get to Julie, and here we go. We got a consumer packaged goods candidate. I click on Julie. And again, I'm doing this really quickly because I just started this search and I'm trying to build a funnel of candidates. So I look at Julie and I see that she has been the vice president of wine and sales marketing with Republic for the last 10 years in Anchorage. Before that, she was Young's Market. I know Young's Market. They're headquartered out of Los Angeles, a well-known organization. She went to Alaska Pacific. She's got a great, solid education. Since she went to school up there, she may be willing to just stay for a while. Why would she want to leave Anchorage? She's made, she's probably got family and certainly a lot of friends up there. Now, if I had put keywords in there, let's say that I was looking for somebody that had management skills, or somebody that had brand management, or maybe somebody that, and you can see brand management right here on my screen, or marketing strategy would be a keyword I might search for. Then those words would be highlighted in her profile. Okay. Now, up front, pretty good. Now, her summary, she is, let's look at a couple things first. She has selected that she's open to work. Okay. And there's 2 connections. I can see that these are two people, and I do know Rick Gillis. Rick Gillis is the CEO of the grocery store, Young's Market, that she worked for. Okay, so I could easily, if I really wanted to get an idea what Julie was like, I might reach out to Steve, and I can click on Steve or on Rick, and I can go directly to his profile, see his phone number. I can pick up the phone and say, hey, Rick, you used to work with Julie. She's up in Anchorage, and I'm trying to fill a new CMO out there. What would she be like to work with? What are her strengths? How does she fill that bill? But if I didn't have any connections and I'm moving quick, I've got an opportunity where I can come over here and I can send her a quick note. So I've got these templates built where I can select a template. I can go in, customize it, and I can send these messages like instantly. I do this all day. It takes me about 45 seconds once I see a candidate that I want to talk to get that note off to them. And then I have the ability to come in and put it or save it in a project that I've got as well. Okay. So that becomes my applicant tracking system. That was the word I was trying to come up with before. That becomes my applicant tracking system as far as managing and tracking the candidates that I want to talk to. Okay. So now let's go. We're going to continue to look through here and see who else we can find. Okay. Public relations, communications. Nance probably doesn't have any consumer packaged goods, but I don't want to throw the baby away with the bathwater. So just let's go through here real quick and see. But definitely is not the consumer packaged goods candidate that we saw in Julie, the first candidate. So here we go. We just move through, and that's how we look at, identify, and quickly figure out whether or not this is a candidate that we want to talk to. You can't jam a square peg into a round hole. So Jeff is definitely not a consumer packaged goods guy. Okay. He's VP sales and marketing in the disinfectant service business. So probably the service industry. Body renew, not sure what that is. Well, let's go look. Okay. I have the ability to go find out what companies do. So I can quickly see that they are get results fastly, correctly, more than a membership. It's a relationship. Sounds like a training facility, loss of weight, be healthy, memberships, maybe a gym of some sort. Okay. But definitely not a consumer packaged goods, right? So we close that up, we come back. I could look at what Alaska Disinfectant, but probably not the candidate I want to talk to. But what I want to get to is that let's say before we go into it, let's say that Alaska Disinfectant Services is a consumer packaged goods company, and they're distributing product all over Alaska that's highlighted in the disinfectant category. If that's the case, shame on Jeff, because he's not done a very good job of giving me that in his history. Okay. And you can see quickly how we've got all this real estate that we can use, and candidates aren't taking advantage of it. Okay. Here is his summary. He's open to work, but he's given me very little information. Jeff will tell you the number of words, but it's like, 1,800 characters, I think, that you can use in your summary section. And you need to take advantage of that real estate and tell people what you do, because again, if I were to go back and enter in over here on this other side, and I were to go in and say keywords, and let's just say I went management, okay. Now my pool candidates goes from 76 to 58, and you can see now where he's computer software, but you can see where management is highlighted, that he has in service management, software serving. So he's not my consumer packaged goods guy, but because I put that one simple word in there, it took that 76 down to 56. Okay. So he has taken and used a little bit better use of the real estate. Okay. But What we don't want you to do is copy and paste your resume into LinkedIn. Again, this is where you get the opportunity to tell people in sentences what you've done and how you've done it, and what your accomplishments have been. And so I want you to take advantage of that, all that real estate, because LinkedIn is giving it to you for free. Okay. So he's had a lot of jobs, and he's done a good job of outlining those. And, you know, some candidates mess all this up in when he was at Schlumberger, he would have, sometimes candidates make it look like those were 4 different jobs. And so he's done a good job of consolidating, keeping things smooth and clean. You know, one of the things I might look at a candidate like this, is he a job jumper? He's been there 7 months. He was only there a year. He was there 2 years. So he's gone from being somewhere from 5 years, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1. You can't change your background. You can't modify where you've been and what you've done. But that is something that recruiters look at really quickly before they even glance at a resume. So make sure that the dates all match up and that there aren't any blanks. Take advantage of this real estate and make sure that you're giving every recruiter the opportunity to get to know you as best as they can really quickly. Any questions, Jeff? Nope. Okay. Again, this meeting is for you. So if anybody's got any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I'm not finding a lot of other consumer packaged goods people. But what I could do is I could go back here and certainly go into this section where I have industries. And now I want somebody that's got consumer packaged goods, because I'm just not finding them. Consumer goods. It'll hit the run again. And there we go. I could have looked through all 56 of those people, but none of them have consumer goods and management experience. So management experience isn't as important anymore. Well, there's nobody up there that's got consumer packaged goods. Well, that's not right, because Julie had it. That's really interesting. Because one of the first candidates that we looked at, Julie, but she may not, you know what, she's got herself in wine and spirits. So let's go to industries and go wine and spirits. Okay. So there's another good example of certainly somebody that's been, there's 3 that have wine and spirits in their background that live in Anchorage, Alaska. But if I were Julie and I was really actively looking for a job, I would probably open up that wine and spirits and put in consumer packaged goods or something that's a little bit more broad. I'd certainly take advantage of all the real estate that she's got available and highlight consumer packaged goods, retail, marketing. She's obviously worked for a retailer, and she hasn't done a really good job of demonstrating her understanding of that ecosystem and so forth. So she could do a lot of work on that LinkedIn profile that would get her recognized by recruiters a lot more than she's probably getting today. Those are your live. Good stuff. Okay, keep going. So I live on this product. And okay, keep going. Good. Okay. I live on this product. And so it's just about every recruiter out there has access to or uses LinkedIn Recruiter. And one of the things that I coach when I'm coaching candidates on their job search in general is to actively make that key list, that list of keywords. And so it can be as simple as literally taking the back page of a notebook or just taking an Excel spreadsheet and starting to make a list of all the keywords that describe of what you've done. Now, another great place or resource to go get keywords that will help, just refresh maybe you forgot some, is go start looking at job descriptions. Look at the descriptions for the jobs that you're looking to apply for, vice presidents, directors, whatever, manager, whatever it might be. Take those job descriptions and go through there and highlight the key words of what they're looking for. Use two markers. One is a green that says, I've got that in my experience, and maybe an orange one that says, I don't have that experience. And now take those green ones, make sure they're smothered throughout your LinkedIn profile, and then start actively figuring out a way that you can turn those oranges into greens. But list the keywords is absolutely critical. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, what you see is a whole bunch of words, recruiter, executive search, all the key words. If anybody's ever looking for a recruiter, I want to make sure that I pop up real early in the process. And then what I do in mine, and I haven't seen it in any that we've looked at thus far, is that if you're actively looking for a job these days, I highly recommend that you give recruiters your contact information. So in the summary section, go back to Julie, it's an open book. You can put what you want in there. If she's actively looking or open to work, what she might consider doing is putting in that summary section right here, her phone number and her email address. Okay. Now, after you get a job, you may decide to take it out. But remember that this is for professionals and not for Match.com. However, it was really interesting because I got a call recently from somebody that said that they'd gotten hit up on LinkedIn for a date. And I just thought, whoa, okay, well, never say never. I had not heard that before, but in general, 98% of the time, this is a professional networking environment. So even if you're nervous, females, or anybody that feels nervous about providing your email address and your phone number, remember that if it's a number you don't recognize, you can let it go to voicemail. If it's an email that you don't like, you don't know the person, or you think it's spam, then you can delete it. But it does, and it will accelerate your connections and your communications with recruiters very quickly. Even if you're actively looking for a job and you think that you are replying to messages quickly and you're sending a note back to every recruiter that sends, or everybody that sends you a note, when you provide a recruiter your phone number, none of the jobs that I'm working on today, and I've got about 7 that I'm actively engaged in, none of those jobs that I'm working on is the hiring manager on vacation for the next 6 months and willing to wait for me to find candidates. So when I can accelerate conversations with candidates by I click on their background, I like what I see, I want to talk to them immediately, I can pick up the phone and call them directly. Again, it may be just this. Hey, David Webb, I know that you aren't expecting my phone call. I may be calling in the middle of something. I'm a recruiter. Is this a good time to chat for 2 or 3 minutes? And if you're driving or you're in the middle of something that you can't dedicate the time, then it's absolutely recommended that you say, no, can I call you back in 8 minutes? Is this the number that I should call back? Should I call you back at? We sometimes when we're in a search, we get desperate and we hear that phone ring and we're driving 80 miles an hour and it's just not a good conversation. It'd be so much better if you could take 4 minutes and pull off the side of the road, find a place in the shade, where you can be away from the noise, take a deep breath, take a drink of water, make that call back. Hey, Mark, I really appreciate your patience. Now I'm where I can direct all my attention to your conversation. What's going on?
Kurt,
instead of trying to just run it down the tracks and get it in while you can. So highly recommend that you take those deep breaths. Highly recommended that you ask those hard questions of recruiters. What kind of recruiter are you? And I just encourage you to really work on those key words in your LinkedIn profiles to help you find or help you become more attracted or become easier to search for recruiters.
Kurt, this is Chuck. Can I ask a question?
Kurt cannot hear us. So
Oh.
here, let me.
Any
let me
questions,
get my
Jeff?
phone here.
Gotta be a
Jeff, you
question
probably know the
somewhere.
answer. I was looking for the summary section. I just can't
Here's
find it.
Jeff coming in. Okay.
All right,
Summaries.
Chuck, you have a question? Go ahead and ask it.
Summary section. I can't find it. I've gone into the profile to search all around where it would be and all the descriptions. Where's the summary located?
It's now called the About section.
Ah, okay. That's all I need. Thanks.
So it's the same kind of thing. But notice, I want everybody to really take note of this, and I do every week when Kurt's on the line. When you look at everybody who we look at, no one has their contact information in there. And if they're open to work, why don't you want to make it easy for everybody? All right, Monica asked, Kurt, what's your opinion on the new career break feature?
New career what?
Career break. They've added a feature, I guess, now where instead of posting a job, you can say that you're currently unemployed, you're taking care of a parent, that you're on.
Oh,
They've added something.
I'm not familiar with it. I'll certainly look for it, Monica. I think it's brilliant if they do. I mean, I think there's a lot of that going on these days. I think that, again, very easy for a candidate to explain when they're talking to a recruiter about what you're doing. That's where I just encourage transparency up front, to make sure that you are offering that employer that information and not trying to hide around it or anything else. There's nothing wrong with telling a recruiter that, my mother was in a, and this happened to a lot of people. I didn't realize, Jeff, that it happened to this many people, but a lot of these nursing homes are in real deep, hard times right now because so many families pulled their elderly parents out of those homes and brought them to their own house. They're like, if somebody's going to kill you, it's going to be me, not some, nurse that came in from the weekend after being at a wedding and spreads it to the whole home. So I just didn't know how many people that had effective. But I think that as we talk to our friends and in the next, upcoming years, we're going to find a lot of people took that reign. And so I just can't imagine that there's an employer out there that wouldn't applaud a candidate for that activity and encourage that kind of behavior if they were given the chance to go do that. So anytime there's a break, transparency is the best response.
I want to thank Chuck. He put a link in there with the information so that if you're interested, save the chat and you can go look at the feature about the new way to represent career breaks on LinkedIn. So it's a good article. I'm going to copy it because I want to take a look at it later. So I encourage everybody to read it.
The question about whether or not, if you're unemployed, whether or not to put, the open to work, click that button or not, is, if I'm looking for a job, my every day I wake up and I am trying to figure out how I can cast a net as big as I possibly can. And so LinkedIn is giving you the ability to tell not only recruiters, but everybody in your network that you're actively looking. And we're past the day, a little bit of a storyteller, but I can remember when I was a kid growing up, my father was in the automotive business and he had worked for a forging company in Lansing, Michigan for probably 20 years. And he came home one day and he had lost his job. They had gone on. And I remember sitting around the table and my dad saying, this is table talk. You don't go to school and tell your friends that your dad's unemployed. Well, we're past those days now. Every one of us has been unemployed at some point in our career. And so if you don't like putting that umbrella or that wreath around your head, then definitely check the box that just tells recruiters, because that is one of the most frequent spotlights that we do check for, is open to work and more likely to reply to messages.
Right. If anybody else has any questions, please. All right, if anybody has any questions, please, you're welcome to ask away, and I'll get it to Kurt via the phone.
The last piece let's cover real quick, Jeff, is one that is that compensation. Since we've got a few extra minutes here, I know that it's one of those hardest questions that candidates hate to answer when a company, an employer, a candidate, or a recruiter calls. And so I want to take the fear out of everybody, and because I ask it every day. Okay, when I talk to candidates, one of the first pieces that I use, now, not all recruiters do this. I could give you examples, because I've worked with people and had conversations with candidates over the years, and not all recruiters go right to salary. But if I am looking to fill a job, I've got it. For instance, I've got a job in Houston. If anybody knows anybody that could fill this bill, send them to me. I'd love the referral, and I'll send you a case of wine. But I am looking for a controller in Houston, and I need somebody that comes out of the industrial sector. And so, I spread the word about that everywhere I go. Every day I can, I'm talking about that opportunity and trying to let as many people as I know that I'm actively looking for that. So as an unemployed candidate, why wouldn't you then go out and tell everybody that you possibly can that you're looking for a job? One of the other tools, if we've got time, Jeff, and I think we do have a couple of minutes here, I'll go through it really quick, but one of the other tools is when somebody becomes unemployed, one of the first things I encourage them to do is activate their network. And what that means is I want you to make a list of everybody that you have worked with, worked for, met on an airplane. Get that stack of business cards that you've had sitting around for a long time. Go through it. This is time to get rid of the trash and keep the ones that you want to re-engage with. And make an Excel spreadsheet with their name, their email address, and their phone number. It's not important if you know the company that they've worked for. Maybe that's a good trigger. He and I worked at Pepsi if you want to take the time. But I want you to activate your network. Go into LinkedIn, look at all your first connections, make sure those are people in your network. You can download that into a CVS or a PDF file if you want to use it to manage and work off of. Really easy to do tutorials on YouTube if you don't know how to do that. But the bottom line is you need to activate your network. And when I say to activate your network, what I want you to literally do is call every one of those people on that list. Unless you've got more than 500, you can probably get it done in a month, okay? And it's an individual call to everybody. You try to leave as few messages as you can. You want to try to connect with as many as you can, but it's just a 5-minute conversation. And it's just this. Hey, William, you and I haven't talked in a long time. I want you to know that I'm actively looking for a new opportunity. You and I had a great working relationship, and I know that you've got a tremendous network. If you've got a few minutes, I'd love to chat with you, but I certainly want you to know that I'm actively looking, and I'm going to send you an email just to keep that network open. Call if you've got a couple of minutes. So that's the message. If you're leaving messages, if you're talking to that person, you don't want to just don't ever just send resumes. That's the death of a candidate. We want to try to create conversations. And so after you have left a message and then sent an email, and the email is, again, just real brief. I just want you to know that I'm actively looking. Some of the target companies I'm looking at, you might put in there. But after you've done that, you've activated your network. You don't have months to go every month and keep calling everybody, and they get tired of hearing your call come in. They might even start, sending you to voicemail immediately. But what you do want to do is you want to keep that network hot. And so the tool that I recommend to candidates is the prayer letter. And I know it sounds kind of silly, but you've all gotten it before. It says, read this prayer 10 times in the next 10 minutes. And send it to 10 people or you're going to die and go to hell. And so in the job search world, what I want you to do is I want you to take all those contacts that you got, and I want you to put them into a BCC, no C's, no twos, all BCCs, so that when people hit reply all, it goes nowhere, okay? And if you need to break them up into groups, so you're only sending 200 and 200 or 250 and 250 or 100 and 100, do what you need to do. But I want you to every month send them a note about what's going on in your search. So it's the subject is great people know great people. In the body of the message, this is the prayer letter. It says, I continue to look for new opportunities. And it's my network that is going to help me get to that end zone quickest. Some of the target companies that I'm looking at these days include, and you give them 3 or 4 companies. If you or anybody in your network has contacts with these or companies like these, I would greatly appreciate an introduction. Feel free to forward this note on to anybody in your network. And if there's anything that I can do for you or anybody in your network, don't hesitate to call. I'll be back in touch in 30 days. Have a great day. That's it. That takes all, after you've activated your network, the first of every month, whether you do it on the 15th, the 1st, or the Mondays or Fridays or Thursdays, I don't really care. Whatever you do, every 30 days, that message should only take about 8 minutes to draft, update, add the names, and resend to everybody. And I'm going to tell you that this tool absolutely accelerates your searches. I only wish that I'd asked everybody that I gave this to and that used it if they'd give me a report back. But there's a guy once that I worked with a few years ago, and he had never had to look for a job, and he was a finance guy. So how do you teach a finance guy to sell? Okay. Since he was 17 years old, he worked for a family-owned business, $1 billion family-owned business, and he worked his way up to the CFO. He was 44 years old and he had never looked for a job. And the family decided they wanted somebody younger. They didn't want him in the business anymore. And so he was like the deer in the headlights. So he and I met for coffee one day, and I gave him the prayer letter and suggested that he do it. And he sent me a note 3 months later, and he said, I would have never have ever guessed that tool would have helped me get a job faster than anything else that I would have done. But I followed your direction, and in 3 months, I had 4 offers. So I just encourage you, even if you're a skeptic or you're not a salesperson and you're a little timid about putting yourself that far out, take 2 or 3 of your best friends that if you were getting ready to get on stage to make a presentation and your fly was unzipped, they'd tell you. Send them the note and ask them, what do you think? Is this a good idea? And would you be offended if I sent this to you every month? But the bottom line is I highly encourage you to use a tool like that, if it's not that one, to help market and manage and update your network on a regular basis of what's going on, because your network is your net worth.
Well, Kurt, thank you very, very much. Great information today. Thank you, and we'll see you next month.
We'll see you next month. Thanks, Jeff. Sorry about the technology. I don't know what. I'll have it fixed for sure next time.
Well, I think what happened is it looks like you've logged in twice. So it's possible that one of your logins is canceling out the other one. So,
You got it. Okay.
all righty. Bye-bye.
That's
Thank you.
probably what it is. Cheers. Thanks. Bye.
All right, for everybody else, coming up next month, our speaker will be Locke Alderson. He'll talk about strategies to get results. Please join us next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. All right, I need everybody, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jeff Morris, promise to always send a personal note whenever I send a LinkedIn request to connect with anyone. This includes when I use my cell phone or my computer. Very, very important. There's 2 different kinds of connect buttons. There's a white connect button and there's a blue connect button. A white connect button sends that generic invitation. So please, please, please always look for that blue connect button, and then you can always send that personal note. Career DFW and Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Hopefully you'll join us for more presentations this week. Tomorrow, for Interviewing Wednesdays, we'll be talking about avoiding interview crashes. This is actually session 13 of 13 of the workshop series that Mark put on. So that'll be tomorrow at 1 o'clock. This Thursday being the 5th Thursday, instead of doing networking or resumes, we're going to talk about successful job searches. You focus on these 4 areas, the 4 big areas of your job search you need to focus on. And then this Friday at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group meeting, open forum. You have questions about your job search, please bring them with us, ask us, and we'll answer whatever it is you would like to talk about. If you'd like to join the Career DFW, Career USA LinkedIn groups, you're welcome to do so. You do not need to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to join the Career DFW group. This session has been recorded. It is going to be in the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. You're welcome to follow us on Facebook. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd really, really appreciate it. On the Career USA YouTube channel, it looks something like this. Just click on playlist. Every video I post will go up into one of the different playlists. And then when you click on that, it'll take you to all the different videos in that particular playlist. The newest one should be on top. If not, click on the little sort button. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops, please join the Career USA mailing list. Just send an email to Career USA, the + at subscribe.groups.io. Please remember, Career DFW are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or part-time employees. We survive on donations. Please consider making one when you get your next job. So thank you very much for joining us today. We'll see everybody hopefully tomorrow or later in the week.
Thanks
Have a
very
good week,
much.
everybody.